All right, here we go. First live action podcast here on Spotify on the Mo Conversation. Little play on words there. Anyways, I don't know if this is live or after I hit stop recording. If it goes live then, if I edit it, I'm not sure. But what I want to talk about is some advice I wish I would have been able to receive when I first started making music over 20 years ago. So this advice, it's for any up and coming artist or any artists that have been doing it for quite some time, but don't know what I'm about to say. So I've been making music on and off for over 20 years. But for those 20 something years, I wasn't making music like I am nowadays consistently and dropping music all the time. I was making songs here and there. And I was more learning different digital audio workspaces, which is recording software, and familiarizing myself with the different ones until I found the ones I liked the most. And so there I was making music, but not releasing any of that stuff, and was doing that off and on throughout the years. Up until about 2018 is when I took a turn for it to start being more serious with it. And then by 2020, I started releasing on all platforms. So my advice is this to any artist, especially up and coming artist. Consistency is key, first of all. And I'm living proof of that. So the thing with me was once I realized how to put music on all platforms through a distribution company back a few years ago, I was like, damn, dude, I felt like I needed to play catch up basically for all the years that I wasn't doing that. So, and from 2020 till 2024, I released 100 plus officially released singles, written and recorded, mixed and mastered all by me, just back to back to back. So I was staying consistent, but a little too consistent to the point where I got myself burned out, and I've taken about a year hiatus from putting out original music. And because of that, the consistency fell off. When I could have slowed it down and stayed consistent, but not overloading, if you know what I mean. But consistency is key. The moment that you fall out of the algorithm or the moment that you stop staying consistent is the moment that you're possibly going to fall out of any kind of algorithm you had potential of helping you out or whatever. But the other thing is to any up and coming artist these days it's pretty easy to figure out how to get music on all platforms. But if you don't know, the key is find a distribution company, shop around. I use DistroKid. Doesn't cost much money. It costs money to make money. You're not gonna spend money on your subscription fees and then become a millionaire overnight. I mean, it's a possibility, but you got to spend money to eventually make money. So you've got DistroKid, TuneCore, CD Baby, and many others. I've always just used DistroKid. But don't do like I did 20 years ago. So any music I was making over all those years, 20 plus years ago, I mean, I've got songs that date back to 2005 I still have the original copies of. Like Riding Big, I made 20 years ago. Next year will be 21 years ago. It's 2005. But back then, it's that song's only been on all platforms for about 2 years because it always just lived on MySpace and Reverb Nation. So you want to make sure get your music distributed to all platforms. Don't wait around. The more years that pass by, there's those 4 years that it could have been sitting on the platforms getting streamed. And you get paid for it instead of it sitting on like MySpace or Reverb Nation and you ain't getting a damn dollar for it. You get a penny. And stay consistent. If you're going to drop albums, to stay consistent with your albums, do promos in between each release. you know, promo videos, drop snippets, stuff like that. But if you're dropping just albums instead of singles, there's going to be bigger time spans in between each release. If you do like me and you just like, I like to just drop singles. But don't do it like I did, to where there was times I was dropping. I dropped 2 or 3 songs a day at one point under both official artist accounts. I mean, I used to say back then, over the last few years, my goal was to drop at least one song a week, and I was doing that. I was hitting the mark for about a year and a half straight, about one every week or 2 weeks. But if you've got enough in your arsenal, if you've got it all where you can do that, then do that, but stay consistent. And another word of advice to any up and coming artist, or any artist for that matter, there's all these new YouTube reaction channels and stuff that they're doing all these music competitions. That's all cool. But if you decide to enter these competitions, just feel them out first and know ahead of time that a lot of these are going to be biased, right? They're going to be biased. The better you are, the less they know, the better you are and the less they know you, the bigger chance that they're going to be biased against you. So just trust me on that. Because they'll look at you as some kind of a threat. Just trust me. I'm living proof of it. I've dealt with it many times, many different shows and seasons over the years. But hold on. But if you're gonna enter them, just know that, hey, there's the possibility people aren't gonna like your stuff. They may hate on it. They may say something about it that you don't like, and you don't agree with, and you may be right. But the last thing you want to do is throw a hissy fit about it, right? That's not going to do you any good. So just always keep that in mind when you think about entering any of these so-called music competition shows, right? My advice would be is to feel them out. There's certain, if the channel seems, look at the history of the channel. Do some research. If it seems like there's more drama involved than music, then it's probably not a good idea to get involved in that one. Especially if you're a person that's not going to be able to handle the criticism, because a channel like that you're going to get critiqued. That's how they are. And it's not good. 9 times out of 10, it won't be good criticism. It's coming from a place of hate. But you got to keep that in mind if you decide to enter. But don't think that you need to depend on shows like that either, because those shows, they depend on the artist in all actuality. I've been seeing it too much these days, where all these new artists think they have to depend on some YouTube channel or so-called music competition on YouTube to catapult their career. Do what? Hello? Too many expectations there. If you're like me and you're in it just because you love making music, then it should just be about your love of making music. But those kind of artists are the ones that get the most hate and critique. I don't know. I have an idea what it is, but I don't want to get into all of that. Original artist with originality and just being straight up genuine. We're a threat to all these other gimmicks. But anyways, consistency is key, and make sure you get your music on all streaming platforms. That's my advice to any up and coming new artist or artists that aren't doing so already. Trust me, I kick myself in the ass every day for not doing what I did around 2020 and figuring out how to get my music on all platforms. Now, when I started fucking over 20 years ago, I don't know, there probably wasn't distribution like DistroKid and shit there, but there was probably, you had to have like a record deal and all when I first started. But there, I'm sure way before 2020, there was an opportunity for me to do something with a distribution company way before I did, and that's what I kicked myself in the ass for not doing. So, anyways, I'll be easy. I'm gonna see how this Riverside app works. If I got to edit this or if it was live. I'll catch you on the next one, folks. See ya. This is Mo Conversation with MoCom, baby.